So far, we only got 4.
Katie, can you make sure we're live?
Says meeting is now
Yep.
streaming, so.
Yes, we are.
That it was live.
Don't say anything you want nobody to hear.
Yeah, make sure there's no feedback, Chris, that sometimes I don't do that right. I'm good.
don't hear
Everything sounds
anything.
good.
Yep.
Marcel, is that you in the phone 7044?
Yes, it is. Good morning.
Thank
Amy,
you.
I just got an email that Arlette will not be attending today.
Okay, so like technically, since Jan has not been on for like a whole year, he's probably like not really technically considered as a board member. So we could probably go down to 8 board members, but we just need our board members to join us. Morning, Chad.
Good morning, Amy. How are you?
Good.
Do you want to call, you want me to call?
Chad's joining.
You want me to call Bob Warren?
Can if you'd like. Morning, Chad.
Morning. How are you? How are you?
Amy's coming on. I just need Tracy and Tyler, or if Robert can get on. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning, y'all.
Good morning, Chad. Good morning, the other Chad.
So I'm clear.
Oh, look, Tracy Wright's coming on.
Wow.
No way.
Well, I thought he was.
Good morning, everybody.
There he is.
Oh my goodness, the man, the myth, the legend.
Is everybody crying?
We need,
Need 2 more, Amy? Or
yeah, we need Robert and Tyler. If I remember right, Tyler jumped on a little late. There he is.
There he is. We
1,
need
2,
more.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8.
Wow. So we're in business, is that right?
They're in business now.
Well, where's Tammy?
There he is.
Tammy.
She is.
Bob will join us in a few minutes.
Okay, perfect.
We should be good.
Do you have a quorum now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, then we'll call this meeting to order. First order of business are approving the minutes, and I will need a motion and a second. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved by Chad.
Thank you. And a
Second. Second by Tracy.
Tracy.
Okay, I'll do roll call. Oh gosh, who's all here? Scott,
Here.
Tracy,
Here.
Tyler,
Here.
Amy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes,
Chad,
Present.
Arlette. Oh, I'm sorry. That's it. Yep, motion passed.
all right. We seem to have a full house of guests, and we are so glad you're here, even by Zoom. Yeah, hi there. Yeah, we haven't always had a full house, have we? So we're glad you're here. Say what you got to say when you have a chance to say it, I guess. That's the way we do it. New business starts with the state of, excuse me, not the state, but the slate of officers. This was in the minutes. So the three people that were nominated or volunteered, thank God, to work on our board. Amy, you still here?
Amy's here.
Yeah.
Mr.
Dan,
Pardon me,
is it Dan Marshman is who you're thinking?
Dan Marshman for president, Marva
Levon.
Levon, and Amy Freimuth for treasurer. I don't have the minutes in front of me. That's my problem.
Tammy, can you let me share so I can I'll pull up the stuff?
Yes, I can. Sorry.
Okay, Tammy, tell me the process.
Nope, we just need a vote saying that those were okay.
Okay,
Or that you're, both them in.
Wait, where are you?
I will need a motion to approve this slate of officers.
I make a motion.
Okay, Barb, you're gonna be second because Jim beat you.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do roll call. Scott?
Here.
Tracy?
Here.
Tyler?
Here.
Amy?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mary?
yes,
And Chad?
Yes.
Motion passed.
thank you. Next is purchase of service budget, and we have it on our screen.
Yes. So can you all see that now?
Yes.
We got a few things I'm going to go through. I'm just going to point out some of the major changes, but the total purchase of services budget that I'm going to request is $2,354,401. I'm just going to kind of go through the big changes, and then I'll have Tammy fill in the blanks on what some of these things are. But the first increase you'll see is on the outreach and community awareness line right here. We basically are adding $40,000, and the big chunk of that is our advertising and marketing. I think we had motos on here, right? That they were going to kind of do a little brief thing on what that's about. So I don't know if Tammy, you want to say anything about that part now, or just let them jump right in.
Yeah, no, I just let Chad or Cody jump in and talk about where we're going with our marketing and public awareness.
All right, I'll take it away then. Yeah, in the past, our advertising and marketing has been pretty campaign focused. Sometimes those campaigns were, 2 to 3 months or even longer. And I think we're moving more toward a monthly focus and trying to reach some communities that maybe don't feel as reached all the time. I think in the years that Moto's worked with the mental health board, your services are for everyone. And so the message has always been, this is for everyone. But in doing that, sometimes the message can feel generic. So Tammy's really pushed us to focus on different demographics and try to reach them more specifically. And you've probably seen that in our social recently, this month with Pride Month, reaching out to the LGBTQ plus community more, African American mental health awareness, things like that. So the more specific you get with advertising and marketing, generally, the more costly it is, and the more time it takes to really narrow down your focus. That includes getting specific billboards in specific neighborhoods. Anytime you target an ad on social media, the more targeted it is, a little bit more expensive it is. So that's really the main increase as far as advertising media money goes. And Chris, is our contract in that line too?
Yes, it actually is. Yeah.
So we did propose an increase to our contract this year, and kind of the big reasoning to go along with all that more specific marketing stuff is over the last year, we have started creating a lot more content for the board. Actually, a lot of things that are written come from our office, obviously with Tammy and Kelly's help and everyone. And writing content takes time. So the increase for our contract is basically the increased time it's taking to do those sorts of things, just compensating for that. So that's my summary, I guess.
I think I can add one thing we're looking at with this increased cost here is we used to have, when levy time came, we would just bam, hit it just at levy time. So we're hoping that this is going to be more of an even keel, all the time and not just hitting it heavy at levy time. So that was one of the things that we talked about with the increased costs. So.
Yeah, I'll just give an example because it was a new learning lesson for me. Knowing that we could get lists of addresses in our community that are reflective of a particular demographic, whatever it is we may be going after. It may be folks based on their income, maybe based on their education, their race, their religion, all of that data, demographics that's available. And so, historically, we do a large mass mailer. We'd pick a certain area codes and we'd send it to, the average person or the majority of our community. But our efforts really need to be very specific and distinct and intentional towards those members of our community that are in most need. And we know that who they are. We know how the COVID, the racial tension, the political tension that's going on in our community, we know who it's impacting. And so we're really trying to be very deliberate. And we're also making sure that we are attaching ourselves onto other targeted social groups who are out being recognized for the month. Again, like the LGBTQ plus work that's been going on this month, the minority work next month, the elderly work that's going on. So we don't want to be a standalone message anymore, but we also want to align ourselves with other services that are doing good work that we need to be complementing.
Okay, so that's the increase to that line. And I don't know if you guys want to ask questions just now, or I'll just move on to the next line and then you can ask questions at the end, but just stop me, interrupt me, because I'll just keep talking. The next line is the criminal justice support line. That's gone up about $28,000, and that's because of the addition of a new contract with Wings. I don't know the full name of that, but Tammy can tell you what that's about.
So we had a change in the drug court administrator position in Hardin County. And as a result of that change, the Hardin County courts needed to hire a new young professional for their role. And they asked that they be able to continue to contract with Mimi Zarzar, who is an expert in that community to do training for a year so that that individual could really learn how to effectively work their court, their specialty court. So we agreed to do that. That's why we have that increase. It will not remain. It is really just to get Hardin County, the new drug court coordinator trained.
Okay. The next big one is in the housing down here. You can see that's actually a decrease. This is because if you remember at the last board meeting, we actually took that whole, when it gets too large to put in the POS, we kind of create a separate contract. And that was the contract for the housing piece that you guys approved last month separately for Russ. So that's actually a decrease in there. I don't think I need to have anybody else explain that. So I'll move on. The other decrease is the school K through 12. This basically is a decrease only because we don't have that funding again this year. And this 40,000 is just paying out because it's a federal grant the last few months of that in the next fiscal year. So now we're gonna get down to the bottom. This E&I contract, that increase is the 50,000 here was a partial year last year. This is for a full year for that contract. So that's why there's an increase there. I think you all remember what that's about, but if not, Tammy, you want to refresh their memory on what that contract's for?
That's our EAP work, where we're working with small and mid-sized businesses who don't have employee assistance programs. And we've contracted with E&I to offer a product and to basically sponsor the organization's employee enrollment for the first year or two, so we can demonstrate the benefits of keeping people with SUD and mental health challenges as long as they're getting the help that they need, and expanding the territory of which people could receive assistance from through the EAP. So providers in Columbus, Toledo, Dayton, because we're jammed here in our communities with counseling. So.
Okay. The next three are actually new contracts. The United Way 211 contract for 75,000. I don't know, you can tell them what that's about, Tammy, before I move on to the next one.
That's really community initiative. We're one player in that, where we're trying to enhance our 211 locally for the information and resource system that it should have always been, but was not effectively serving our communities when it was with organizations out of our area. The goal is to support this and eventually redirect all of the information referral calls that are coming to our crisis line over to 211, so our crisis line can take crises and manage those more effectively than getting interrupted and trying to spend time getting resources to people when we have another system and service that can do that.
Okay. The guardianship board, it looks like that's an increase, but Tammy just before the meeting told me I did not have the actual current year. This wasn't updated. So it's actually a decrease. I can't remember the number we gave them. 90,000, I think was
$109,054.
Yeah, and that was actually money that we got. I think it was one-time money that we used to pay that. This year it's going to be down to 60,000. Is going to be our contribution to that. So I'll let Tammy say anything she wants about that.
Yep. I mean, I've updated you guys. This is very exciting for our community. The guardianship board, which allows probate courts to assign individuals to this board versus trying to find individual guardians through family members or attorneys. So we got several members contributing to this and a commitment to expand Auglaize and Hardin County within the next 12 months. So that was an agreement for us to jump on board and support it at the level that we're supporting it. So we're just hoping that people won't go without a guardian, therefore their needs will be met.
Okay.
This is Amy, yay.
I got James.
And then finally, the last new one is My Hello, and I'm going to let Tammy explain that one as well. That's $50,000.
Yeah, so we recognized that we needed to do more outreach into our aging population, particularly as a result of the pandemic. And there was an organization that had been doing this that another board had contracted with. Katie spent time negotiating a contract with them. And so they are working through our area agency on aging, where we have our contracts with them, and the area agency on aging can make referrals to this My Hello, which is a phone service that then provides social support and outreach to the aging individuals that are referred to them.
Council on Aging.
Or Council on Aging, sorry, that's right. Yes, thank you.
So that's the summary. The total is $2,354,401. If you guys have any questions, shoot away.
This is Amy Framwith. I do have a question.
Okay.
I was wondering, I'm trying to scroll up your screen, Chris, and I have zero control over it.
All right, can you see it now?
So when we were talking about the education prevention, and I know you highlighted it.
I mean, the K through 12.
Yeah.
K through 12.
Mhm.
Yep.
Is this something that the schools are going to take on themselves with all the social workers, or is it just a program that we're seeing go away?
Amy, we actually continue to increase our school-based programs. We picked up every school service that we initiated with this grant fund. We're continuing to offer, and even more this next school year to our schools. So our school-based programming is just expanding and expanding and expanding.
Amy, I could probably add something a little to this. The other part of this is we moved some of this amount, and you'll see this when I go over my board report. We moved some of this amount in this year to the individual contracts. So some of that stuff is in PASS and SAFI. So what happens, you'll see in my board report, we're not going to spend all that $330,000 because we actually added it to other contracts during the year this past year. So
Got it.
part of that decrease is because of that. So it's not that the services went away, if that makes any sense, hopefully.
That makes complete sense. I just need to be patient for a
Yep.
minute. I was, but I do see so many schools that are hiring their own social workers, which, to me, as a referral provider or referral service, I think that's a great thing that they're doing it in-house. They know their students, they know their staffing, their coworkers, and so forth. That number was just a huge change.
Yeah.
They're actually receiving a lot of money to do that. So to put school social workers in there, they're mostly, but to do service, evidence-based, clinical, education, prevention, intervention, we have to continue to provide those services to the
Sure.
schools. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
More questions? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve this budget.
I make a motion to approve. This is Barb.
Thank you, Barb.
AC seconds.
Who was that?
Tracy. Okay, I'll do roll call. Robert,
Abstain?
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes,
and Chad.
Yes.
Motion passed.
great.
Well,
Okay, Chris, you're back on again.
I gotta rotate my screen so you can see it. Okay, next is gonna be the Coleman 22 contract. And there's not a ton of difference here. I mean, the contract amount is $5,127,374. That's about a $235,000 decrease. Most of that decrease is because of the one-time federal funds that we had in their contract, MRSS, MMW, some of these things that have gone away or going away, or we think are going away. And so there's really only one new item in here, and I'm going to let Margaret talk about the whole contract, but is this peer support for emergency responders. That's a new line item, $218,200. The other thing I want to point out is that in the fee for service area, this is where a lot of these funds that we had in there, we didn't increase or decrease that. that is mostly because of projections, what they're doing this year, but most likely some of these funds that aren't being funded with those federal funds are going to be paid through fee for service now. So they're likely going to need more in the future. So we decided we're going to just bring that back as we go throughout the year to increase that fee for service dollar amount if they need it. Funding availability is not an issue, but we just did not have a good idea of how those changes were going to be affecting their fee for service billings. So I will turn it over to Tammy or Margaret to kind of go over parts of the contract if they'd like.
Good, Marge.
You want me to go, Tammy, or you want to go?
You go ahead.
Okay, good morning. And I think this is like my anniversary because this is my 4th fiscal year working with the Mental Health Board as Chief Officer for Coleman. And going forward for fiscal year 22, they have really challenged me, which is a good thing. They have challenged me to provide more community services, working with law enforcement out in the community, as opposed to law enforcement just bringing clients in to serve for services at Coleman. One of the things that would be the major change, and that's on my plate to get done, would be working with the emergency responders under the grant, and then also working with our Hep C nurse consultation appointments, and putting an emergency department navigator back in place. So when we're talking about the first responders, one of our access responsibilities is providing pre-screens at the hospitals and jails. Our goal right now would be to offer that same service in the community. If law enforcement call, we send someone out with them. This quarter, we completed 396 pre-screens just in the hospitals and in the jails, which is a huge increase of pre-screens. And also the youth, we've had 48 youth that we saw at the hospitals last quarter. And we're going to see an increase this coming up quarter. One of the things that was also increased would be the number of calls for our crisis hope line, as well as just individuals calling that are non-crisis call related. So working with law enforcement, first of all, would be we're building a team. We're really working hard to get social workers and counselors, as well as peer support staff that don't want to sit in the office, but want to do community-based work 24/7, 365 days. We want to be available. Within the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple of law enforcement calls, and we've had staff that have gone out, and it has worked wonderfully. It would be mental health techs or mental health crisis workers, substance use crisis workers, counselors, peer support, anyone that can respond with law enforcement to help with engagement, to help with doing a pre-screen, meeting the client where they're at, as well as helping clients to maneuver back to community mental health if that's what's necessary in order to help them become well. I think FY21 was a difficult year. We remained open during COVID. We served clients based on their needs, whether it was over the phone, video conferencing, or coming in person. And I've seen this week the increase of the walk-ins has really increased, probably due to the COVID restrictions being lifted. I'm looking at the contract. Our cost reimbursement's not changed very much. And like I said, the biggest will be the community services for Coleman. And that's the number one task on my plate, to get that up and running and working with the community.
Thank you.
Questions for me?
Nelson, did you have any questions or comments on the contract?
Trying to unmute myself. Thanks, Tammy. No, we're so proud of Margaret's leadership in this area, especially through the pandemic and the continued board support. I would add that we're very proud to kick off the Mike Shanehofer endowment finally. That's in the Lima Foundation now. and hoping to yield gifts to the Allen Oglaze and Hardin County employees for training in the future. So major accomplishment. We finally got that going and moving. So again, thank you personally for your support. And we look forward to going into the next year responsibly and working with you, collaborating with you and other providers in the area.
Thank you, Nelson. If there are no more questions, may I have a motion to approve this budget?
Bob Warren so moves.
Thank you, Bob. And I need a second.
Barb Blanca, second.
Thank you, Barb. Amy?
She muted. You're muted, Aim.
I'm muted.
Yeah.
Robert, I'm sorry. Robert,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Chad. Is Chad on? All right. Okay, there you go. Motion passed.
Thank you. Back to Mr. Cars.
Okay. Now that does it for the 22 contracts, but we have an amendment on the 21 purchase of services. And
Chris, are we going to talk about the capital budget that's right after?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not have a thing for that, so I didn't mean to jump ahead. Yeah, we were going to bring a capital budget. Angelo is still working on some costs, so I'm not going to bring that budget till the next board meeting. But what I am going to request is if you guys let me to continue pay or carry over the unpaid amount so far on the building project, so that I can keep paying them here into July and until the next board meeting. And right now, the unpaid amount right now on that is $1 million. Hang on a second, I just closed that. Hang on. Let me look real quick. It was $1,029,000. So my only request is that you guys approve for me to carry that over so I can keep paying that. There won't be any new contract, new budgets or capital projects that I'll be paying on that. And then I'll bring the next capital project, the full list of everything we might have coming up. So the biggest one we have now is that Canton housing project. And I think I need a motion and roll call and all that for that. So.
Oh, I need a motion to give Chris permission to move that money to the next year's capital budget.
This is Amy. So moved.
Seconded by Chad.
Seconded by Chad. Is that who said it?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'll do roll call. Robert,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jim, Mary,
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
All right, motion passed. I just want to check to see if Jim.
Levon is on. Amy.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you. Motion passed.
Thank you, Amy.
Did you hear me say Levon is on?
Oh, no, sorry.
Hey, good morning. Just finished my appointment.
All right, I'll join you in on the next motion, Levon.
So now I will move on to number 5 and the purchase service budget amendment for fiscal 21. Basically, this is the specialized docket money that passes through to us. We basically just receive it and we just pay it out. We started out at $250,000 at the beginning of the year. Remember, they added $20,000 funds in November. Well, they've just recently given us another $140,000 that's going to pass through. So obviously I need to add that to the budget before I can pay them. So I'm requesting that you guys approve that budget amendment to add $140,000 to the POS budget.
Call the director, please. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, I need a motion to approve the addition of $140,000 to this FY21 purchase of service contract.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jim.
And a second, please.
I'll second. This is Barb.
Barb, I'll do roll call. Levon,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Chad.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, we now have the past contract amendment, and you're upside down, Chris.
I went the wrong way, didn't I? All right, how's that?
That's better.
This just shows you how quickly things change here at the board. We approved their contract last month, but we already have a addition to it, to their 22 contract, and it's a school-based expansion in the amount of $191,550. And I'm gonna let Tammy and or Rick kind of talk about what that is.
Well, it's actually just a response to the question Amy asked in regards to school-based programming. Katie's done a great job really establishing relationships with the schools. They're doing a good job identifying ages and needs within their school building. And I would gather to say these requests are just going to continue to come. PASS does a great job, as you all know, with prevention and education and early intervention services. And so there's been a request and increased demand for them to provide services in the schools. And so they need to hire more staff in order to do that. I think I've been saying and publicly, and I'll say it again, we're in a time where despite the availability of resources, being able to expand our clinical footprint has been very challenging because of the professional shortage in our communities. And so investing more dollars in recovery services and prevention and education is our only opportunity to continue to really make a significant influence, a positive influence in our communities. So we're willing to do that.
And as a local school PBIS member, I know that these funds are well spent and that the schools find that collaboration extremely helpful.
Thankfully, finally.
Yes. Finally.
Yes.
Questions? All right, then I need a motion to approve this addition to the past budget.
Mary, this is Amy. I was just wondering, can maybe Rick want to tell us a little bit about what they'll be doing with us?
Sure can. So again, as a response to the school's request for services, particularly at the very early elementary ages. So we have been in a third grade, kind of our continuing care educational plan started at the third grade, then there in the fifth grade, and then the middle school and high school. But there was a request from several school systems to do something in the very, very early grades. So we are going to be starting in first grade. So we will now have a first, a second, and a third grade program called Too Good for Drugs. And it's a continuation from first to second to third. And then pause in fourth grade because of some activity in the fourth grade, give the DARE an opportunity in the fifth grade, and then we'll come back in with evidence-based program in middle school and at high school. So in substance use prevention, social emotional learning, and resiliency building, we'll be doing it in first, second, third grade in the middle school, and then in the high school opportunities, as well as DBT Steps A has just exploded. This past school season, I think we completed with 12
different teachers or different sessions, as we would call it, but that is a 20 session program. We have now 42 or 46 off the top of my head programs for the fall and next coming school year. So we're going from 12 to 42 classrooms with that. And we basically were faced with either a deny and waiting list because we had exceeded our capacity, or we needed to add staff. So on behalf of PASS, we're certainly appreciative of Tammy and her staff and the board's consideration for allowing us to reach even more students across all 3 counties. And I can actually plug Auglaize County. They're the first schools already without, we couldn't publicly talk about this first and second grade expansion, but we already have an Auglaize County school jumping on us to schedule for the fall. So they get first dibs on the new program.
Great.
That's good stuff, Rick. Thank you so much. And I feel like I'm monopolizing all the questions here, but Rick, this is Amy. I was wondering too, under the loss and DOS category, as a loss member, I haven't received phone call in a long time.
Great observation, sad observation. I'm actually sitting in Auglaize County Law Enforcement Agency right now, dealing with the situation for the CISM program. We did do outreach 2 weeks ago with the Auglaize County law enforcement community, again, reminding them of the loss and DOS programs. It's been a tough piece to get law enforcement to call, admittedly.
Amy, it's our hope with the expansion with Coleman's services providing 24/7 support to law enforcement, while we're starting that in the city here to learn how to do it and do it well. We, of course, anticipate we'll expand that. And it's then that we believe that we'll be able to really promote the loss and DOS, because we'll have our own people out in those situations that can make sure that those wraparound supportive services get placed with families who need them.
Well, thanks for allowing me to ask that question and for your response, because, you know, as all the training and effort that went into that, and then it felt like all of a sudden it came to a screeching halt. I have just reached out to people that I know that have experienced a loss of someone due to suicide. I've just been doing it myself, to be honest with you, because I didn't know what was going on with law enforcement. Doing it myself, meaning just reaching out to them and saying, if you need help, let me see if I can help connect you.
And that's really what we're seeing, is it's more the agencies or people connected to agencies that get a call about a death. Amy, you can certainly contact us to do a team approach, but I am all for however we get the foot in the door with the families tragically impacted by the sudden loss of somebody, to get them the information. And so the siloed effect, unfortunately, you all know I'm former law enforcement. The breaking down the barrier and recognizing that if we don't work collectively, we're going to be in the same boat, or the people that follow after us will be in the same boat, dealing with the same families and the same problem and the cyclical nature of it. So we have to do it better for our communities, and that just takes a lot of persistence and time.
If I could be a positive help in that way, I offer myself.
Thank you.
More questions? Comments? If not, I would ask for a motion, please.
So move, Tracy.
This is
Thank you, Tracy.
I'll second.
That was Amy.
Yeah, Amy second.
Okay, I'll do roll call. Levon,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes, sorry. Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Chad.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, now, Chris, you've got it up there.
Yes, this is the most, I guess, interesting part of the meeting. It is every year. So some of you board members, I think, are new. So I'm going to try to go through and explain what this is a little bit. We, being a governmental entity, we're audited separately because we're a multi-county, and we have to follow Ohio Revised Code, which means, certificate of estimated resources and appropriations. What that means is, and this first one is an amended one for fiscal 21. Fiscal 21 is July 1 through June 30th of 21. And at the beginning of the year, I have to take to the board what we have in our balances in all these different funds, which is column C here. I'll try to highlight as I can. So column C would be our balance at the beginning of the year. And then what we expect to get throughout the year in additional revenue is here. What that means is then I can say, okay, we are going to get, this much. We're going to have 7 million to begin with in levy. We're going to add 5. We have this much money to spend. Okay. So that's what my certificate of estimated resources is. I then bring that to you guys and say, hey, this is what we think we're going to get. And so if you come to the bottom, I say, okay, we're going to have $21 million total, which, unfortunately is more than we've ever had, but because of COVID and shutdown and all these federal grants we've been getting, that's a good thing and a bad thing. The amount that I'm going to actually ask for an amendment is to bring the certificate of estimated resources to $12,879,381. What that means is I'm asking you, or I'm telling you that, hey, this is what we think we're going to receive in the current year in revenues, whether they be levy, federal grants, state grants, charges for service, any of those things. And it's by fund, because the auditors say I have to do this by fund. And the next 5 pages, which you see all of this detail, which I'm sure you've all read and know every line on it. They also say I have to do it by fund and function. Well, fund are the columns. Function is, and I'll make this a little bigger, is things like the salaries line, professional services, fee for service, things like that. So I literally have to budget it by line and by fund. Well, good news is I go through and after all my work, I do that. And my total is here on this column. So you can see my total amount, and this is coming out of our accounting system, is $12,879,381. So if you think of this as like a P&L, a profit and loss statement, that's our revenue. So, okay, we've established the revenue. That's what the certificate of estimated resources is. I'm asking for you guys to amend that to the $12,879,381. And then the next motion is going to be on the appropriations, which is the expenditure side. So far, do I have any questions on how all this works? I know I went through that, but I didn't want to get in the weeds too much.
That has to be a lot of fun.
It's not. It's about I do not like it.
Thank you, Mary. So we just let him have some space.
Right. So the first thing you need is a motion to approve the $12 million amount. Is that correct?
Yes. And that's, the motion won't be until I get to the expenditures. I just want to make sure you guys had any questions on the revenue part.
Okay.
The expenditure part is down here. So what I'm saying is our total expenses is $12,216,070. What I have to make sure of is that I'm not appropriating more in expenses than what I'm saying we have in revenue. And that's what the auditors look at. I have to send this to the county auditor. They then certify it. It's all like revised code stuff. So what my request is that you guys approve the amended certificate of estimated resources for 12.8 million and appropriations for 12.2 million. And then the next one we're going to do is for fiscal 22. So.
Okay, this is for fiscal 21.
Fiscal 21. Yep.
All right. Questions? Then I need a motion to approve the amended 2021 budget summary
It's the certificate of estimated resources and appropriations.
Oh, well, okay, that.
Jim,
May I
I'll
have
make
a
a
motion, please? Jim?
Yeah.
And a second.
Levon, a second.
Thank you, Levon.
Okay, I'll do roll call. Levon,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Chad.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Thank you, guys. My only regret is that Dan's not on here because when I was an auditor, I used to nail him for this all the time when he worked for the school. So he always has something to say, but he's not on, so he can't say that.
You're on live YouTube with
Oh, okay.
Chris Carr.
Oops. So the next one is the fiscal 22 original certificate of estimated resources and appropriations. What I did with this, because this one, I don't like this, but this is the only way to do it. This is actually for the upcoming year. Well, as you all know, we don't even know from the state budget what funds we're getting. We know about half of the funds that they've told us about. So I have budgeted those funds and I've budgeted ones that I am pretty sure we're going to get, but it's literally a guess. And that's why we have to do an amended one before the end of the year. So I take what we just approved amended wise, and I go through it and I say, okay, K through 12 funds, I know we're not getting them. I take that out. And I do adjustments through there to adjust for the original 22. So that's where the basis of this comes from. Obviously, we haven't started 22. I don't know what all the revenues we're going to get, but without some of the state and federal grants that I don't think we're going to get, these are the numbers that I've come up with. My total amount that I'm expecting to receive for 22 is $10,809,529. You can see that's a lot less than what we just approved, $1.5 million less. That could be because of a lot of these federal grants aren't in there. I may be coming to you guys to increase this because we might find out in the next month or two, hey, we're going to get all these. So, but that's what I got to work with right now. So the estimated resources is $10,809,529. And the appropriations is basically I budget to spend every penny of that. Doesn't always work out that way, as we're going to see in my board report. But I'm requesting, and then the next five pages are basically the breakdown by fund and function. They do tie into that summary that I had in there, which is, you can see 10, you might not be able to see that, 10,809 and expenses of 10,809. So I'm just requesting that you guys approve the original fiscal 22 in those amounts.
All right, any questions? Then I would ask for a motion for the 22.
This is Amy. I make motion and would like to point out that I want to make a motion on this one. There's no bracket.
I didn't hear that. Say that again.
I said, I want to be the one to make the motion because I see no brackets. I too had to complete these reports, hated them, and good job, Chris. I see no brackets, so I'll go ahead and make a motion on this.
Well, I'm glad somebody else feels my pain. So.
Thank you for signing them. These are the shop tickets. You didn't sign any of those.
Okay.
You sign them and then put them in Tim's box.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know what that was. I think we still need a second, please.
So moved.
I will second. This is Barb.
Okay. I'll do a roll call. Levon,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes?
Barb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Chad.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, Chris, we're back to you again.
All right. Seems like we're always on me. Next one is our board report, monthly board report for through May. I kind of point out the same things occurring this month as we have in the past couple months. FRC's percentage, we should be about 90% through the year right now. FRC's down We talked about this last month, that it's basically their fee for service was over budgeted for what they could provide. So that's expected. I don't expect them to bill all that out. So when I was referencing about billing out all the contracts, that's an example of what I was talking about. Is there's probably going to be amounts not billed by the end of the year on their contract. Coleman, they're at that's gone up a little bit because we've got some of the issues solved with the billings, but we're still working through some of those billings. But I'm guessing not all of that is going to end up being billed out, but we won't know till the next couple of months. Everywhere else, we're looking at Safi and Pass. They're right on target, but mostly because they have a lot of grants in their contracts. So that's why. The miscellaneous funds on contract is one I was pointing out before. We're only at 66%, but if you remember, we talked about the K through 12, $200,000 was moved into the past contracts and out of here. So that money's not going to get spent. That budget is not going to get spent. So that's why that percentage is low. Facility maintenance, right on target. And then capital reserve, obviously this is why I asked for that $1 million to carry over, because we've only paid out about half of that contract. And I don't want to have to not, hold up bills to pay them until the next board meeting. So again, there's nothing new, nothing jumps out at me. We know the issues that we're dealing with the Coleman and the FRC billings. I just don't want you guys to be surprised. We get to the end of the year and I'm like, hey, we didn't bill out all the contracts. Every year we try to put all the money into the contracts, but obviously this past year isn't like a normal year. So hopefully we'll do better this coming year. You guys, and then the lovely pie chart. Nothing changes much. I mean, the percentage of Coleman is the majority. Board administration, 7%. We do have a new employee we've added, so that might go up a little bit here in the future. But other than that, a lot of these amounts haven't changed, other than the capital reserve. Obviously, we don't normally have that big of amount, but that's at 12%. So any questions?
Hearing none.
Okay.
May I have a motion to approve the board budget, please? Excuse me, the board report.
So moved. This is Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. And a second.
This is Tyler. I'll second.
Thank you, Tyler.
All right, I'll do roll call. Levon,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Barb. Barb.
Barb, yes.
Okay, Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Chad.
Yes.
Motion passed.
And I see there is a new item on
Yes. You can count on me to add things fresh off the press. So I was out in Kenton yesterday. We had our biweekly construction meeting out there, and one issue has come up, and it's not surprising, but I wanted to bring it to you guys. If you remember, we bid the project and then we had to do a rebid, and it came in at, I think, a little over $1.7 million. Well, the contractor is having issues with increased costs on a lot of the materials. I spoke to our architect, Garmin Miller, Jason, who's the lead project guy on our project, and they had sent him a request of, we're talking about $53,000 of increased costs. If you guys all know me, my first reaction is no, absolutely not. I have a contract, you bid an amount. If you didn't secure the amounts with your vendors, that's not my problem. That's a little bit of his response as well. However, I do have to look back and say, okay, what's going to happen if we tell them no, we're not going to help out. They basically are offering to say, hey, if we can split those costs. I told him, I said, I'm actually not allowed to make that decision. I got to go to my board, explain what's going on. this to me is literally, they did a bid, and you guys can jump in at any time if you have different opinions. They did
Oh,
they
yeah, that's right.
they I feel like they should have secured those costs as soon as that bid was signed. They must not have. So now when they're getting some of these things, the costs are going up quite substantially. It's some 20-30%. And they're having a hard time with additional costs, and they're requesting us to kind of help with that. What are your thoughts?
Jump in here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I also work for a roofing company. Let you know how pricing is currently. First of all, we can't get materials. So
Right.
if they can get these materials, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Reaching out to our suppliers, they're not honoring contracts that we have secured with them. They aren't guaranteeing us anything. As a matter of fact, they'll give us a price, but they won't hold that price. We're paying for what the product costs when it ships, not when they give us the quote. There is zero guarantees right now. So I completely understand what they're going through. We can, in a perfect world, we can always say, but the contract we signed, this
Right.
is unprecedented times that we can never look back on it at this point and say, yeah, but it's been like this before. It's just not the case.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Chad, because that's the part of information that's what they said. I unfortunately didn't have anything to go by on whether they're telling me the truth or not, as far as like honoring the contracts and all that. I did ask.
We can say, hey, no, this is the contract, and have every right to. However, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it knowing the details of what they're going through.
Yeah, and this is exactly why I'm bringing this to you guys. One reason I didn't want to say, yeah, we'll split it, because it's going to burn up all our contingency amount. And then if something does happen later on, I'm going to have to come to you and say, hey, we need another 25, 30,000 in contingency. And you're going to be like, well, what happened to the contingency we had? And I'll have to tell you, well, I made a decision to do that. So that's why I'm bringing this to you guys for discussion, because I do see the difference. This is unprecedented times. I asked Jason Miller, or Jason at Garmin Miller, I said, hey, on any of your other projects, are you having these issues? He did say he has not. He's running about 8 projects. He hasn't had anybody come back requesting this, this kind of, increased cost. But he said he won't be surprised if that does happen.
It will.
So.
And honestly, for them to say that they're willing to match half, they're telling us that they're losing money, and I can vouch they're losing money.
Yeah, the conversation came up. If you all remember, the first bid came in around $2,050,000, something like that. But we only had the one bid, and we didn't like that, so we rebid it. He dropped his bid a couple $100,000. The others came in around the $2 million mark. So my guess is he's stripped out most of his profit. I don't know that for sure. That's just my opinion. But I told him I would bring it to the board, his proposal, to see what you guys were willing to do. You can basically, approve that if you want, or you can have me go back and get more information. I'm actually going to leave it up to you guys to decide what you guys think what you want me to do.
Barb, were you trying to say something?
I was saying that splitting it seems like a good deal to me. I know that everything has gone up, and especially a lot of the building materials. So I think that he came back with probably the offer that he thought was fair. And if he's willing to split it, then that's even more fair, as long as he doesn't cut cost on what he's doing for us.
Well, one other conversation that we had in that meeting was, I told him, I said, I don't want to go to my board, ask for this money, and then we find out, lead times are stretched out. So in other words, we give more money, like Chad said, to secure the things and not be too far behind, and then go to you and say, hey, we're a month behind because of, getting the materials, even though we went ahead and, paid the additional cost to get them. So that discussion occurred also, because right now they're already, I think, a couple weeks behind, because it took a while for them to get the wood trusses. Obviously wood's a big issue. But if that's what you want me to bring back to them, I can. I will tell you there is another discussion, and it has to do with about another $20,000 because in the bid, there was a discussion on whether they were providing the shower stalls, and they didn't think they were. Talked with Garmin Miller, and he said, no, it's absolutely in the contract. If they didn't read the wording right, that's not something that they're going to worry about. But so on top of these costs, they are looking at that 20,000 that they evidently didn't include in their bid that they should have. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
That's a whole different story. That's on them.
Yes. So that's why I wasn't going to bring that. And I thought, well, no, I better, because if something happens where they start fighting us on it, then I want to make you guys aware of that. So.
Mary, this is Amy. I have a question, if I may.
Yes.
All right. So Chris, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
Fortunately, I have found myself in this position, but not during COVID times. So in an audit, because we're using governmental type funds, I had a contractor who bid, again, pre-COVID, had a contractor bid on a project, and they shorted themselves around $45,000 because the person who bid it did not measure correctly. Now, having said that, the project had to be completed. They came to us. They asked us to reconsider. It had already been signed and resolution passed by the Board of County Commissioners. I called the state, and I was trying to be somewhat helpful with this contractor, but it was a hard and fast, absolutely not. So I'm wondering, as a board, again, I appreciate Chad's words because this is all pre-COVID when I had this experience happen. But have materials already been purchased and delivered? Is there a chance that there will be some changes? I mean, I don't know with this COVID side, but I think you, as a board, we do have to be cognizant of the fact that it was, I don't know if you call it resolutions, but we did agree on a contract. If the state or Fed, I guess it would be state funds coming from the board. If we could get some guidance on that, on COVID, I would feel a lot more comfortable before I could be okay with voting yay or nay. I don't want it to come up in an audit later.
No, that's exactly what I mentioned to them in the meetings, Amy, was I said, look, I said, if you think I can sit here and make this decision, I said, I can't, because my board approved the bid as is. So anything that we bring additional, I would pretty much have to bring to them. And the architect said, one thing we could do is the contingency amount is for there's like a general section, which we could pay it out of that. But like I said, the minute that's gone, now, and we have any changes, now we have another issue where I've got to go and have them amend the contract. You guys would have to approve a new amended contract or an addendum.
Well, and you're not leaving yourself any wiggle room for a punch list down the road.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so I do agree with Chad on the fact that if they didn't read their bid packet all the way through and forgot shower heads, that's on them. But as far as the material costs and whatnot, I'm just wondering if the state, since we are using governmental funds, if there's anything if there's a contact that you have that says, hey, this happened as a nation, we know this materials are a problem in getting, we know when we do get them, they're more costly, and just make sure we cover ourselves in an audit, because I'm telling you, they told me flat out, if I had not called and received direction from them on this other project I was working on, that was coming out of county coffers, and the commissioners were probably going to put me in timeout for a while.
Well, I can give a little bit of information on that. Basically, we're using the state funds that we're getting is only the $500,000. The rest of it is levy dollars.
Okay.
So it really comes down to you guys deciding if you're willing to do that. It's not going to affect the state dollars anymore because they're only matching. This isn't going to change the amount of the match. I could definitely, look into that to make sure before we make this decision. And quite honestly, we can make this decision at the next board meeting if we want, because they're going to have to continue with the project regardless of whether we agree or not.
Right.
I just am a little worried, you get some friction in there. They try to cut some corners. The architect says, no, they won't let that happen. But, I just always worry about that because they're going to try to find savings somewhere. But this was, like I said, fresh off the press at 4:00 yesterday. So.
Well, didn't you say too that it's the walls of the showers?
It's the actual stall, the entire.
It's the stall.
Yeah. They thought the bid said to be provided by others, and that's not what it said. So they didn't include the cost. And I think for 12 of them, I think you're looking at, I think it was like 20 grand, something like that. I'm with that though. That to me is a no, I mean, you guys could do what you want, but I would be like, no, I'm not even entertaining that one.
Well, so where would they cut on the cost then to make up that?
I don't know. What they've said they've been doing is calling, like, one example is the windows. They're having problems with lead times on windows, and they're looking at other makers, more local, where they don't have to have a middleman. They're trying to get contracts directly with the manufacturer to cut out the middleman costs and lead time. But they've said they've kind of exhausted all those things, and these are the costs. These are the additional costs they're left with. So. All I need is some direction from you guys.
Yeah, my biggest thing, Chris, honestly, I feel a little bit better knowing that a good majority of this is coming out of levy dollars, and as a board, we get to make a decision, because this really stinks for this construction company. Obviously, they don't do work for free. None of us do. We're all looking to show a profit.
Right.
Portion of this that is grant covered. Man, I have a hard time being able to make a decision right now today without knowing that somehow, whether it's just documenting the heck out of it or whatever, we have the board's collective backside covered so that this doesn't become a problem 2 years from now when they try to find something in an audit, Chris, as they always do.
Yeah. And I told them that. I said, the auditor is going to pull that. They're going to pull the contract. And if I don't have something approved by the board approving these funds, they're going to hit me with a finding for recovery. And I do not want that.
Those are just my thoughts. I just, right now, I would have a hard time.
And if you want, I can research some more to make sure that we wouldn't be in any hot water, and make sure our T's are crossed and I's are dotted, because like I said, the construction is going to go on. I had actually thought about saying, okay, if the board approved it, I was going to recommend that, we'll make the payment upon completion of the project if it's within, a week, couple of weeks of the original, completion date, some kind of like goal for them to hit. But I did not want to make that decision. I wanted to leave that in your guys' hands to kind of give me guidance.
The thing is, it makes perfect sense. It's a business, and we want to be, part of getting this done. But sometimes common sense doesn't always get to play into what.
Yeah. So are you saying you want me to kind of do a little more research, get some more information on this, and then bring it back to the next board meeting? Or what do you guys think?
How much of the project is grant funded that's coming from the state?
500,000 of the 1.7 million.
Ugh.
Yeah. So the match issue is not an issue. It's mostly going to be levy dollars that it's going to be coming out of. And maybe none, because we've got the contingency. If nothing happens between now and the end of the project, and honestly, the architect says he doesn't, most of the time when there's change orders, it's in the beginning. The underground plumbing, the foundations, the framing. He said they're almost past all that to where it's basically going to be drywall, inside finishes, things like that. So, but that's no guarantee that something might not pop up. where we have to make a change and use that contingency fund. So.
Yeah.
And Chris, I'm sure that whoever it is we're dealing with can show us when we originally bid this is what the estimates were, and this is what the estimates are today. I mean, then all we need is a calculator just to verify, okay, here's the reason why.
Do you see my screen? I've already asked for that. And right there it is. If you could see that, they broke it down by the wood trusses, 29% increase. There's the 53,000 that they want to split with us. Basically, that's the breakdown. Though I didn't ask them for, more support for that, but I did say my board might want some more information before they make a decision. So,
Hey, this is Scott. You know what I'm thinking? What I'm wondering is, okay, you have new costs, brand new costs that came about because they didn't do it properly. And then they're agreeing to go half with it. So they're agreeing that somewhere along the line, something happened with the cost. I would just study the original contract of what they're liable for, study it more, and go from there.
well, that's what I was talking with. What Chad was referring to was the original budget is really contract. Like we could tell them no
without COVID going on.
Yeah,
I see.
This is more of a
how far off of the contract were they from anybody else? A lot less.
$200,000 difference.
Right. So right. You're still sitting good. Like with Chad, I agree with him because of COVID, and I think you're still sitting good. The only thing that I'm saying is with that contract, should they be liable to hold to what they stood their grounds on because it was their mistake or whatever? I don't know.
I don't think it was really a mistake. I think that the cost went up.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, I quoted a roof in February for $1.1 million. To do that roof today, it's 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it in food costs right now that they've been talking about that since 2003, with, price of gas, the diesel going up, everything. So it'd be hard to quote a price. And then I also agree that they're still below what anybody else was. So I would think it's okay. The only thing that I'm saying is look at it and make sure that the costs are answered for. Like it's not something that they're getting enriched by or anything else like that. That the costs are legitimate.
Other board members? Well, listening to this, it sounds like, Chris, we might stall for the next meeting. We might put this on the back burner for this meeting.
Okay.
Do we need to make a motion to that effect?
I don't think so. I just, you guys just give me direction of what more info you want. I hear what Amy's saying. I can look into that.
Yeah.
I can potentially see if he's got some more, info on the cost. I don't think he's, being dishonest. I do think the costs are there.
Yeah.
It really comes down to whether we want to say, no, this is the contract. You signed it, your bid, you're stuck with it.
Hey, Chris, this is Amy. With this grant, there were probably other counties that were approved for a project similar to this, weren't there?
Oh, I'm sure every board area probably is using some of these capital funds from the state.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if maybe, we're probably not, I can't imagine that we're the only board area that is running into this. If we just.
I can email the guy from the state too,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Just have it covered.
And just, hey, here's what's going on. If a board agrees to pay this, is this going to affect our match money at all? So
exactly, that's exactly. I should have been just that clear. Sometimes I get too wordy, but
that's okay.
That's what I'm thinking with, the point I made about covering our collective backsides as a board. That's what I'm really meaning is let's have the state just tell us this is okay, because I don't think anybody.
Okay.
I'm not hearing anybody say, "Oh heck no, sorry about your luck. It is what it is." Mm-hmm. I think what we're saying is outside of the shower stall, cost of materials have gone up and they're hard to get a hold of. Let's let the state bless, if you will, where
Okay.
we're at with this. We can't be alone, and make sure we'll be okay in an audit. That's my only point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you guys want to make a motion on that, you can. Amy, I don't know if they need to or not. Do you think? Just put it in the board minutes?
We'll just put it in the board minutes, I feel like.
Okay.
Okay. We're putting it in the board minutes without a motion, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll just put that we discussed it.
Unless, do you guys feel better by voting that?
Yeah,
Okay.
why don't you guys vote? I think I would feel better.
Okay, Amy, make a motion.
So, motion of everything I said previously.
Got it. Got it.
Getting a blessing by the state to understand COVID and where we're at with the after effects. How about that?
Got
That's wonderful. I need a second on that motion.
I second it.
Thank you, Barb.
All right, I'll do roll call. Levon,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
and Chad.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, guys.
All right, now we go to the bills for payment, and I'm going to just ask you, have you all looked over those bills for payment? And if we were coming to a real meeting, would you sign off on them? And
We'll take a motion.
and if so, somebody make a motion that we will approve the bills for payment.
I make a motion.
Thank you,
Scott, I'll
Barb.
second it.
Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Scott.
I will do roll call. Mary,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Levon,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Tracy.
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right.
I think I forgot Bob. Sorry, Bob.
All right, I forgive you.
I went out of order. It's a
Uh-oh.
different.
You
thing.
did.
Motion passed.
All right, I saw a note at the bottom of the screen that Nelson stepped out. Is that correct?
I think he's back, Mary.
I think he is.
He's back.
He's back.
Oh, there he is.
All right. Well, Nelson, we found out that you are retiring,
Yes, ma'am.
and we're excited for you. Now you get to see what life on the other side is like. And we certainly do thank you for the way you have taken care of Coleman and been a part of our community in that way. We know very well that we need good administrators who agree to be collaborators and coordinating with the community. And we thank you for that, Nelson. And I
Thank you,
would
Mary.
ask any others who would like to speak about Nelson.
No.
Oh,
I actually am going to, Mary. So,
okay, Tammy.
you know, I wanted to personally thank Nelson for everything he's done for me. Many of you should know that I worked at Coleman. I worked there for many years under Nelson's leadership. And his passion to serve individuals, along with his leadership and his mentorship, is really it's a gift we received here in our community. I'm not sure Nelson will ever realize the growth and the recovery that's available in our communities, because he sits pretty far away and many miles down the road. But the opportunities that Coleman brought to our community have been outstanding. I'm proud to say that I was part of some of those initiatives, and they're going to live on well past Nelson and well past the rest of us, but they're amazing gifts that our community members have received. And although our relationship didn't start under the best conditions, because for those of you who've been here a while, it came in a very traumatic situation when one agency was leaving and Coleman was coming in. But And we ourselves have had challenges, but I wanted him to know that throughout all the years being under him, that I watched him and I listened most of the time, not all of the time, but 90% of the time. And I think the most valuable lesson I took from him was the importance of ensuring that an organization, despite the fact that it's a social service nonprofit, was financially stable so that we could retain and attract good workers and provide good services. Without one, the other would always be compromised. And so when you grow up in the social work field, you don't always get that lesson in the classroom. You just want to do good things and you want to do it for the right reason. But I grew and matured a lot under Nelson and understanding that none of those things could take place if we didn't keep our eye on the mark and make sure that we were operating efficiently as an organization. And I continue to ensure that that happens wherever I'm at, and I'm appreciative of that lesson. So I'm excited for you. I can't, I don't like change, so I don't know who's coming behind you. I might not be so excited about that. But I really am hoping that you enjoy your footprint in Ohio expands great depths, and it's because of all the hard work that you've done, and you enjoy the best retirement I can bless you for. So good luck.
Yes.
Thanks, Tammy. Thank you.
We're gonna miss you.
Yes.
We'll miss all of you. I think that Tammy said it really more succinctly, but my key message, I think, as far as my peers are concerned and the industry is concerned, I've got a lot of concerns about the industry, but as long as we continue to have vision of serving others first, it's not about the CEO, and we keep our sights on that, I think we'll do fine. It's when we lose sight of that the CEO is more important than the actual service to the clients that we get ourselves in trouble. So a lot of challenges, but thank you again for your nice words. And hopefully if I leave any legacy, it's that vision of serving others and supporting our clients. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Big splash, no noise, lots of ripples.
Agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, legislative updates.
Yep, I'm gonna make this quick because it's
Yeah, it's past 10, darn it.
there's not a lot. Unfortunately, the budget has not been approved. The Senate and the House could not come to an agreement. There has been a conference committee put together. The members have been selected. It will be reviewed. We're hoping to hear a result soon. All of the issues I've addressed before are still in there to be further discussed, with the changes in the board membership and the makeup and the numbers and all of that. I wouldn't say that we'll just have to see. So I guess they're conferencing soon, and hopefully we'll have a passed budget by the next time we meet.
Anything for the good of the order? Then we will call this meeting. Well, do I have to have somebody say it, or can I say it? This meeting is adjourned.
All right.